just wrapped up this piece. It's a new piece celebrating LGBTQ pride, but also celebrating community, right? Like LGBTQ individuals are part of many different communities, many different cultures. So in developing this piece, I really wanted to reflect that. I wanted to show, how we celebrate who we are, where we come from, our heritage and what we're a part of in that perspective, but also how we embrace ourselves and self-express within the LGBTQ community as well. The process of developing this piece is similar to the process of developing a lot of my work. It's inspired by years of different experiences, different places that I've traveled to, growing up in Chicago. I kind of just collect all of that information, I like to study people. I'm fascinated with the stories that create our lives and make us who we are. So it's really a combination of just living over the years and seeing how people identify and how they use fashion and hairstyles and different things to show themselves to the world. And this piece is kind of a culmination of that. As you look through the artwork, you'll see that there's people from many different cultural backgrounds. And that comes from my travels internationally, my travels to different cities. And I just kind of try to put that together to show, this is a representation of who we are on a global level. Chicago has a lot of culture, even though it's a segregated city. And in my work, I just really want to try to show and put in the forefront like what it looks like when we're all together, when we all come together as one community. So the LGBTQ community has definitely made a lot of progress over the last couple of decades. It's been 50 years since Stonewall, and there's been a lot of change that has occurred. But even for myself individually, when I was a teenager, a block from where we're standing right now, I was beat up so severely that I was put in the hospital. And that was one of several occurrences. And now, about 25 years later or so, we're standing here in front of a mural that celebrates pride and the LGBTQ community. Like, I couldn't have even imagined that would be the case. And throughout the time of painting, we've received so much support. And I think it's just beautiful to see the progress. At the same time, while we're seeing all of this support and progress from different brands and different community organizations, there's also still a lot that we're dealing with. So while this is wonderful and I'm very happy that I'm able to stand here and we didn't receive any harassment at all in Pilsen yesterday when we were painting, there's also still a lot of work that needs to be done. There are a lot of challenges that come with it, especially when you're creating in the public space. My fine art practice is totally different. I can do whatever I want, however I want with that. And if people like it, they buy it, they support it. But when it comes to murals, you got to think about all these other things. Somebody owns this building. There's a lot of people walking past, and they're going to give their opinions. So you kind of have to take the community into account when you're developing the work. With the work that I develop, a lot of it touches on a lot of these challenging subjects, right? My goal is how do I bring to life something that is representative of different people that aren't getting the right visibility, but also is touching on topics that we need to address so that there's more inclusiveness and more unity. And sometimes when I develop those concepts, they're not received that well. I'm asked to make changes or to water down the content a little bit because people might not be ready for it. That's also kind of what keeps me going, is I'm constantly trying to think about okay, how do I create this piece where it's this bold image that I want to portray while still kind of being sensitive to the way that the community or people are going to respond to it. It's like you got to take baby steps sometimes. So in public art, it's definitely a different process of developing the content in comparison with my fine art practice. So as you can see, I have a whole crew of amazing artists with me. I definitely don't do this work on my own. There's so much that goes into the process before we even get to this part. And initially there's the concept. I design the concept. But then Jenny Q, who's also part of my team, she does a lot with the color palette and styling of the figures. From there, it moves on to Sergio, who does the pounce patterns to make it easier so that when we get out here, we can put the work up quickly, and then the whole team comes together to paint the piece as one. So, you know, some people will ask, like, how do you turn things around so fast? And it's really because I have this amazing group of artists that I work with that all contribute in their own way with their own talents. I have an amazing management team that also works with me. Nick and Michelle are often in my corner, talking to the clients, talking to the different people that we're working with, and also trying to get them to understand my approach, my perspective, so that it's not just on my shoulders to help people understand why the work should remain as it is and why it's important to put this message out in the community. So again, it's a team, it's a whole team that I work with to bring a lot of this work to life these days. For a long time it was just me, but now I have a crew that does it with me, and it's amazing, you know, how a group of people working towards the same mission can really help to get things done.
If you ain't shooting with Love City, I don't know who you shooting with.